It's Sunday night, 9 o'clock. Welcome to All Lacrosse Live. We got a great show again for you, folks. Really glad you're with us. We have Brad McCulley of the Buffalo Bandits with us, and he'll be with us in a few minutes. With me, as always, I've got Shawn Slaght over at Moose Jaw. How are you, Shawn?
Doing good, thanks, Gary.
And I got Muffler Mike over in Connecticut. Mike, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
We had a great week, eh? Boy, oh boy, was it busy.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and training camps have opened, guys.
Right on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Another step closer.
Remember, got that
Yep.
temperature taken. There it is. It's NLL fever, baby. All right. Just before we get rolling, let's go do the stuff for the network, and we'll get moving. Remember that all episodes are streamed across Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and also Twitch. And you can catch all the action on EOPsports.com. Remember to hit the subscribe, follow, and like buttons, and always share. You can enjoy all our affiliates. As you can see, we got lots of stuff going on. We got the Broad Street Bully Podcast, Philly Press Box Radio, Edge of Philly Sports Live, Bird's Eye Q, Patterson Avenue Fanatics, Talking Philly Sports with Matty B, Devereaux Sports, Painted Lions, Party on Broad, and of course, my favorite is Steel Steps on Friday night. And of course, if you missed a show, no worries. You can grab all the podcasts on all the major podcasting companies, which include Amazon, iTunes, Google Play, TuneIn, Stitcher, and Spotify. And if you're looking for shows, you can catch it on the EOP YouTube page, or if you're looking for our show in particular, go to All Across All the Time on YouTube, and you can catch our shows, plus a whole lot more, retro games, interviews, all kinds of stuff. Remember, you can stay up to date with all sports by visiting EOPsports.com with great articles from our huge staff and contributors. While you're there, please subscribe to our newsletter. All right, guys. Just a reminder that this part of our show is brought to you by Dolan's.
All right, guys, when you're staying local and you want to watch a great game or just hang out with some great people, make sure to go to Dolan's Bar at 24 East Sellers Avenue at Ridley Park. Right off of I-95, south of Philadelphia Airport, Dolan's Bar is the place to be. Great music, great times, memorabilia giveaways, great drinks, and even better food. You never know when a former Philly sports icon walks through the door. You got to go to Dolan's, 24 East Sellers Ave at Ridley Park. Tell PJ that EOP sent you. Go to dolansbar.com or follow them on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or even TikTok. We'll see you there for the game.
Absolutely. Great place to go. And you're going to always want to be there. Listen, before we go any further, man, I can't wait to get them on because it's great. And I get to say, from the world champion, Buffalo Bandits, Brad McCulley. Brad, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
We're great, man. Great. How does that sound, eh? World champion, Buffalo Bandits.
That's a good one. I like that. I was going to say that's the I think this is the first show I've been on since we did that. So hopefully everyone gets the memo on the entrance now.
Absolutely. Because, we can always send the picture along too, because when you signed the picture that we had, can't get a better one than holding up the trophy, right?
Yeah, I guess that's a dead giveaway, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We're going to play Where's Waldo too, because in the team photo, just after the championship, we're going to try and find Brad in here. Yeah.
I know where I am. Don't you worry.
You send it to us in the messages. Absolutely. How's it been going, man? How's summer?
Good. It was good. Actually, I was back playing in Victoria, so played a few games there. Didn't exactly go the way we wanted it to. We ended up losing in the first round to a very talented New Westminster Sandbelly's team. So it was good. It was nice to get home and play with the guys and kind of get back with those familiar faces. And I love playing in Victoria. I always have. I love playing in front of my friends and family back there. So, it's I'm pretty lucky being able to play in the two places that I get to play. Victoria's got a pretty awesome following as well. Being in Buffalo, we have the best following in the league. And then in the WLA out west, we easily have the best following in the league with the super loyal fans out there on the island. So I'm pretty lucky to get to do what I do, and the two different teams that I split my time with. I'm pretty lucky to usually be playing in front of a lot of fans.
Absolutely. I didn't have a Bandits thing, but I got as close as I could to the orange there. I got a Netherlands jersey from the Hrabeski tournament, being a Dutch guy.
Yeah, that'll do.
That's perfect. Listen, First question we asked on the other show, and I want to get it out here too, was how did you get started in lacrosse?
I hope I can match up the answers. Oh
It's
yeah.
not a
So a
quiz.
buddy of mine, when I was younger, we were walking through the mall and his dad signed us both up for lacrosse. I think he got a stick when he signed up.
Right.
And his dad, just signed us up. I have no idea what it would have costed or anything like that for him to just sign us up and come home and tell my parents that's what he did. I mean, it must have not been too crazy, but we ended up getting sticks, and then we showed up went to Canadian Tire, got like a box of like hockey gear and just used the top half, and then just went out there and started playing at mini tyke when I was 7, I think 6 or 7. Yeah, I went out there, started, and haven't taken a summer off since, at least not counting COVID.
Right, of course. Now you went to Claremont Secondary. You're part of their lacrosse academy, and you turned enough heads through that you actually made it and got picked up by Robert Morris, Division 1. That's not bad.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to. My 2 high school coaches out there, Chris McKay and Darren Reisig, are second to none. They run an amazing program, and there's a lot of talent on Vancouver Island, and even in British Columbia. There's a lot of talent, so it's tough to get recruited, especially kind of like highlight tapes and everything weren't exactly like as popular or as easy to make as they are now when I was trying to get recruited. So really, we had a lacrosse program at my school. I was thankful that it was like that because I got to play lacrosse as like my second block every day. Like I'd go like math, lacrosse practice, lunch, social science, or whatever it would be. So it wasn't like an after school thing or anything like that. And we had an academy, and you take the certain kids who were looking to get recruited and probably had the skill set to kind of do it to these different tournaments. Like we'd go to like Denver and Baltimore, but that was like really the only time that we were able to get recruited. Like you'd send them like this kind of not the best film they've ever seen in their lives. Like your mom or dad has like a recording camera or something like that, and then they're holding it up kind of thing. So it wasn't great tape by any means. So with with your shots to get seen, you had to be emailing coaches and kind of letting them know, and then you get out there and play in front of them for 2 days, and God forbid you didn't play bad, just because you could blow a few opportunities right there. But Chris and Zig do such a good job at convincing the coaches and really selling us and our abilities and us as people. And so I got pretty lucky to be taken through that program with those guys at the helm, or else I definitely wouldn't have got where I am now and where I was before.
Right. And you're a pretty big part of the Robert Morris team. 28 goals, 4 assists, big part of both the 2018 and 19 runs.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I mean, I didn't play at all in my freshman year, which is fair. We had a good team. And then my second year, I played a bit more, kind of saw more man up reps, which was nice. It was nice to kind of get in there and play, a little bit. Like we were kind of scoring by committee. We played such a different style than a lot of the teams in D1. Like we had a very kind of Canadian run and gun style with a bunch of Canadians in it. So it was fun. Like it was so much fun. You get to go there and you weren't getting told to just pass it around for 4.5 minutes and then get to attack or do whatever. Like Coach McMinn really let us play and kind of spin it around. And then my third year, I think I had kind of probably my best year, kind of maybe like point wise, comfort wise in the lineup. I was usually always in the lineup. And then my senior year was probably going to be going pretty well, but was cut short in 2020 in March.
Yeah.
So it was fun.
Stopped.
Robert Morris was some of the best memories of my life, especially lacrosse. I mean, the lacrosse you remember quite a bit, but it was even just all the stuff kind of off the field, like all the guys, relationships. I was actually just back there about, I guess, a month ago, maybe 3 weeks ago for the alumni game, and
Right.
It's amazing. I mean, it's funny going back there as a 26-year-old and feeling old. That's kind of weird, but especially like when you saw those alumni, and when I was playing, and I was like, these guys are so old, you know what I mean? And then I go back there and play, and I'm trying to tell these kids that I'm not that old, like everything like that. But it was, it's fun. It's always great to get back on campus, and the squad looks good. They got a new coach, and he's a beauty. So they got a good looking future at Robert Morris.
Right. Now, you declared for the draft for the NLL in 2019. Did you realize you were that high up on the lists? Because you were drafted number 9 overall.
I had no idea. I think I was hoping I was probably going to be in that first round. I think that's everyone's hope. I knew I had a pretty solid junior career, but I wasn't entirely sure if my junior career had kind of tagged along with obviously the points at school and different things for me to kind of be considered in that first round with, like a lot of guys who just lit it up everywhere they went. Like,
Mhm.
like one of my best friends, even like Ryan Smith, like crazy junior A numbers, the now all-time points leader at RMU. Like maybe that's why I didn't get any points because he was hogging them all. But like I wasn't really sure kind of where I was going to go. I knew being a lefty forward was probably helpful, and maybe being a bit bigger and doing some of the stuff that I do was probably going to be a competitive advantage for me in that sense. But I was kind of waiting on Stamper's mock draft because I just had no idea. Like I was talking to teams, but nobody was like, "Oh, we pick here. We're thinking of having you here," like
Mhm.
anything like that. Like I talked to teams and I'm like, "Where do you pick?" Like I was like, I kind of wanted to figure out where it was going to be. And then, yeah, Stamper's first draft came out. And I think I was like 16th, which was like just squeaking into the first round. And I was like, oh, that's pretty good. Like, I was like, that's kind of nice to hear. And like,
Right.
all my buddies saw it and everyone was just texting me being like, oh my God, like you're predicted first round. And I'm like, that's the first one, boys. Like, nobody get too excited. Like, like it could go any which way.
Right.
But then, yeah, as each draft kind of came along, I think I was just going like I was getting higher and higher. And I remember just being pumped about it. Like I was like, this is great, but still, like, that's happened to a ton of people. So you never really know what's going to happen until draft day. And I hadn't even talked to the Bandits until about 4 hours before the draft. And
Right.
I just had no idea what was happening. Like personally, I thought I was probably going to Georgia. I thought that's kind of where it was looking. I guess I
Right.
can say that now. So yeah, so I thought I
Sure.
was going to Georgia. And then, yeah, I ended up going to Buffalo at 9, which was higher than I ever thought I was going to go. I was just like ecstatic about it. I'm still stoked about it. It's kind of fun that that's like a
Right.
written
Sure.
in stone kind of thing. So, it's always fun to
Well,
say. It's fun to reflect on, but
sure.
kind
Well, by
of
now
makes
you
you
know
work
that
harder.
both Troy and Chugger, they have specific ideas who they want in the lineup and who would fit, right? And obviously you fit.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm happy that, they kind of let me, kind of like work into that lineup a bit. Cause my rookie year, I was not ready for what I was thrown into at all. I think taking like the 18 months off, I think from, like even playing like one lacrosse game to like the first Bandits training camp, from like my last experience at RMU, like my last game to the first weekend of training camp, like I was a step behind. I was trying to work out, but it's so hard to like
Mhm.
mimic, right? Like I hadn't played a game. And then yeah, I jump into this Bandits offense of like Dane, Kluch, Burnsy, Fraze, and then Bucky joined in, but Bucky fit in so well, like right out the gate, because he's amazing, and Dahoka fit in fantastic, kind of right there. And I had Fieldsy over on our side at that time too, and like I could not figure out the speed. I was bad, honestly. I was just trying to find a way, and like I didn't really know, and I was intimidated. I was trying not to step on any toes, and just trying to ease my way into it.
Mhm.
So I think I had an okay training camp just because I think we had some scrimmages where it was just kind of a little bit more run and gun kind of thing. But it did take me a while to figure out like how I was going to fit into that offense and how I was going to be able to play with these guys and, when to take my chances and when not to, and just
Mhm.
how to, learn how to play with those guys because they're top caliber players, right? Like
Sure.
they are easy to play with. Like, like Dane's one of the easiest guys to play with on the planet, but like, Josh, like trying to set picks for him, he's pretty fast. Like you got to look out for what he's doing. And Kluch is, very deceptive as well and everything. So it just took me a while. And, I'm happy that I was kind of able to use a lot of the practices in my rookie year. Like I didn't get to play a whole bunch, which I don't blame anybody for. Like I was not ready. It was not going to be a thing. Like I got into 5 games in my rookie year and that
Right.
was pretty good. But I came in year 2, like I was I was pretty adamant that I wanted to make sure the Bandits knew that they didn't make a mistake taking me that high, and I wanted to come in and I had a point to prove and a little bit of a chip on my shoulder, and not so much towards anybody. I just, I wanted to be maybe a helping factor in kind of getting us to that end goal. I wanted to do more. I wanted to kind of be more with the team. So I came in, a little bit more ready. Like I watched a lot more film. I took it a lot more seriously because I think in my first year I was just nervous and happy to
Mhm.
be there, and I was just excited that I was on an NLL team. And then that second year I was like, hey, no, now I'm part of this team. I have to I got to make sure I can help us get to where we're going. So
For
that was
sure.
kind of the mindset change. And now in heading into year 3, it's kind of the same thing. It's just obviously we did what we did last year, and I couldn't be more proud of it, and I'm happy for everyone and ourselves. But like we're gonna hang that banner up on the 16th, and then we got to play a good San Diego team, and
Yeah.
then it's back to business. Like nobody cares what happened last year; they care about what's going to happen this year. So that's
Yeah.
kind of been the focus going into at least training and everything, and that can be the understanding of at least everyone I've been working out with here in Buffalo, the guys who live here. It's just
Mhm.
we got to do it again, so we got to work even harder than before. That's kind of where we're at.
Yep. But you fit in because character. We keep talking about that, not characters, but character players. And you stepped in when Buffalo was having all kinds of problems with injuries, and you ran with the ball. You scored when you needed scoring. If you needed to drop the mitts, that's what you did. Defense, you played in transition, whatever it took to make things work. And like I said in the outlook, there was 7 games where there was 1-goal victories. You guys won 6 of them, and 4 of them were in overtime. That's an everybody step up kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we couldn't have had. I mean, our bye weekends last year ended up being pretty well timed, I think, with because we were just. I don't even really remember. It was kind of maybe like middle late part of the season, I think, when we started kind of having guys go down, and yeah, everybody had to step up, and that was the thing. I think, I just kind of took my role with what it was. Like, I'm pretty thankful that we have all these awesome guys that I'm learning from and asking questions with, and I can watch them play and, kind of take some moves on my own. But, I kind of go back into junior and growing up and everything. And like, I was a main ball carrier. I was a guy who was kind of doing all that. So
Mhm.
I'm not uncomfortable with the ball by any means, but, I understand my role in our offense. I know who's going to have it. I know who's quarterbacking it. And honestly, I love doing what I do. I like getting guys open. I like banging through the middle, getting inside and doing the dirty work. I really don't mind it. It's pretty fun. But I said it a few times. I think even just in the interviews, like that's just what our team was. Like that's it. Like you said, like that's an everybody win. Like everybody on our team, like just wanted it, right? And we wanted it for each other. Like I love being on that team, and I
Mhm.
love playing for our fans, and I love playing with everybody that I get to play with. Like I love all the guys on our team. So, all I wanted to do was win games. I didn't care how it took. Like, if Josh is going to get 5 or if I'm going to get 5, if he's not in the lineup or anything, then yeah, I got to pick up the slack. Like, it's just like it's everybody working to make sure it all just works. And
Right.
it came as committee for sure a lot of the times last year. Um, Probably made a few of those wins a lot more difficult than they needed to be, just having to do it. But we slid a lot of them out, and that's just because everybody there was comfortable with what we were doing. It was just we're ready to step in, and the guys around you have nothing but faith and confidence in you, right? Like when Josh and Klutch were out, like yeah, it was kind of like yeah, I'll get the ball, and like even with talking with B Rob and something like that, and even Ian McKay, like when it was me when it was me, Brandon, and Ian, like I mean Ian usually plays defense, and B Rob was the first year to our team, and I didn't play the much the year before. Like we're like, oh, let's just go out there and make this work. You get open, I'll get open, we'll do this, you're open, I'll hit you, you set a pick. Like it was just it just kind of worked. It was good. And it's just like I said, like everybody just wanted to win. It didn't matter who was getting what, and that doesn't change even when we have everybody in the lineup. Nobody cares about their points. Nobody
Mhm.
cares about that. Like you see the main guys who get a lot of points in our offense, like yeah, like they care the most. Like that's for sure. Like like Dane getting 10 points a night, especially like maybe even like 12 when we need him to.
Mhm.
Like that guy wants to win, and he's one of the best leaders I've been around. Like same with him and Josh, and
Right.
even Bucky. Like we have guys in our offense that are everyone's just so easy to follow. Like I don't even remember a game last year like where I was like, oh, I'm gonna go check my points. You know what I mean? Or like look on the
Mhm.
website afterwards. because I didn't care. I just cared about winning or losing. I was like,
Right.
yeah, whatever. Like if I had 3-2 or something like that, like I don't care. Like it didn't really matter to me. I wanted to win games and
Mhm.
hopefully not lose games.
Right. Well, the team was rolling all the way through, but where I think the aha moment came was probably, I think it was the second or third last game of the season for you guys. You were playing Toronto, and that was basically for first place. And you guys won, I think, 13-12. It was a hell of a game. It had everything to it. But it was the first game back for Nanakoke. It was first game back for everybody to be in the lineup that's going to go into the playoffs. And seeing what this Bandits team could do, that opened a lot of eyes. You know, I knew it was a strong team, but that one showed me that there was a lot more coming. And sure enough, when you guys had a couple of games under your belt to get everything, all the rust out and everybody working with each other, remembering what each other does, well, Rochester was the recipient of that in the first round, and Toronto was a recipient of that in 2 big punches in the mouth in the next 2. And it was like, wow, wow. And even Colorado gave you a bit of a fight. That last game, the championship game, there was no doubt. And I remember walking around outside in the square there, and trepidation. Everybody was bringing up last year and all the other things, and literally it was a minute in when I think Nanakoke scored, and all of you guys, the sticks, the hands were a little bit looser on the sticks, and you guys started having fun with the game. And once that happened, it wasn't even close. That whole night was just the party started 2 hours before the party started.
Yeah. It was that was insane. And I remember that game you're talking about first, that Toronto game. I mean, that was for first place, I think. But they killed us like 2 weeks prior. Killed us.
Yep.
And brought us right back down to reality, because I think we'd been on a little bit of a roll. And it was like 7-1, like 6 minutes in or something like that. Like we were just getting murdered. And that one didn't really go the way we wanted it to. And then, I think everyone kind of circled that game on their calendar. I'm sure at the time I probably knew it was for first place, but now when I'm thinking about it, I just remember like Toronto can't handle us like that kind of thing. Like we got to make sure it, kind of goes our way. And
I think I gave you our cap before that game, if I remember right. I think I gave you an Lacrosse cap.
Oh, yes,
just before the game.
I remember that. Yeah. But so there was that game, and then we got right against Rochester, and that 1-game elimination game is nerve-wracking. I mean, like that's just like anything can happen. So it was nice to leave no doubt on our end. That was a good one, and I think that one started off kind of slow, and then I think we kind of opened it up in the second half.
That's it. The first half was tight, and you had the lead, but it was still, in my eyes, it looked like But I think it took like a minute into the second, and there was no doubt. And literally,
we
like
did
an
that
avalanche.
A few times.
Yeah, it's like an avalanche. Once you guys score, it's like 3 of them go in. Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah. And then exactly. So we did that, and then I mean, I don't know how to tell you what happened against Toronto in that Eastern Conference final. That was just our defense was, that's a rivalry for a reason, and our defense was stellar. Our offense was awake the whole time, and it was one of those ones where a lot of things were just going in. We're getting a lot of really good bounces, and we were working hard. So we were working hard and doing what we needed to, and our coaches came up with an unbelievable game plan that we were able to execute, and the scout just worked, everything worked and went the way it should have.
That defensive plan was something I'd never seen before. Was your lower guys went all the way back to basically where Vince was, so you basically were playing with 3 goalies.
I know.
But you guys are agile enough that you could get out and block the lanes and block the passes and everything else, but still be back there, so that there was really no air.
No, OC and Sweets are out of their minds for standing back there and just eating shots like that. Our defense is a bunch of lunatics. Like even in practice, like they'll just be getting in the way. And like you hit a guy, you're like, "I'm sorry," and they just like yell back at you. You're like, "Okay, like fair enough. You guys are insane." But, because I don't want to get hit with a shot. I'll do it, but whatever. Maybe it's the same thing as, go in there, set a pick, take a beating. Maybe they don't mind taking a shot for the boys kind of thing. I don't know. I don't want to have balls fired in my direction. But, that's the thing. Like, OC and Sweets were unreal down there. Like, even, like, there's a photo where they're, like, both, like, playing goalie. And it's my favorite photo on the planet. It's so good. And we just have 3 goalies in there. It's so funny, but those guys are nuts. But you see, like that was the kind of buy-in we had on that team last year. And like, that's, the kind of culture that's been created. And, like as an offense, like we saw that, like, we're like, these guys are actually just like getting in the way of shots. Like these guys are getting in the way. Like there's no way we can't reward these efforts. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, so, we were working a little harder, and when they play like that, we stand, 5 feet taller, and everybody does, especially when you have Matt Vince in net. I think it's easy to not stress about things. Some of those ones that go in usually don't. And, it's probably the nicest thing ever. 'Cause I mean, growing up, it was sometimes a struggle to have goaltending, when I was kind of playing. So it's always been something in the back of my mind. Like I've never really had, like, I had a good one in junior, and then I've never really had, and a good one at RMU, but, and then you have like, the best of all time in your NLL net there. Like,
Right.
it's never something you got to worry about. Like 48's not the guy you got to be concerned with showing up. And then, I mean, Colorado, the series was just, it's a nerve wracking one kind of going into that. And just like, please don't let this go the same way it did last year. Like,
Well, you guys did the right thing in that last game, is you weren't drawn into anything.
Yeah.
Because the power plays on both sides were so good
Yeah.
that you guys wouldn't bite on anything. And they were taking stupid penalties all over the place. And you guys just took advantage continually. But nobody bit on anything dumb and wouldn't be thrown in to even things up or take a stupid penalty anywhere else. And that sunk them. That sunk Colorado right there. And you guys, once you got to the lead and realized that, the stars are in alignment tonight. And
well, that was the
party
thing.
in the second half was something else.
Yeah,
We
well, even in
couldn't hear
game
ourselves in
two,
the press box.
no, it was nuts. But even in game two, like, we did get suckered into that stupid stuff.
Yep,
And
that's
we went there and we didn't play our game, and they suckered us into all that dumb stuff, and we were doing dumb stuff. And at the end, like, it wasn't our game. And like, it's not like whatever we were doing looked good. Like, it's not like it looked like we cared. We just looked like a bunch of, we looked dumb doing it. And I was one of the main guys who was trying to do it, and I looked dumb doing it. So, it's just like that game 3, we just went in, we're like, stay level headed. Like, this is the biggest game, and they're good at agitating us because they, they kind of had that, you beat us last year, and, like, we hate you for it. It was the same thing when they beat us in Buffalo in the regular season,
Right.
afterwards. Like, that one was like, that might have been the awakening. Like, that was, oh my God. Like, I've never been so mad after a game than I was after that one. And it's just like, because, you just don't want to let it happen. So we just knew we had to just kind of stay with doing what we were doing and being able to just, play our game. And we're going to be better 5-on-5 than 5-on-4. We don't need to give them any opportunities. There's nothing that, that we have to gain for this whatsoever. Like, let us play 5-on-5. Like, there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing anybody needs to do. We can push transition. We can shut them down. We got this, and just let our offense do the work. Like, that's the thing. We're like, let guys do their jobs. Like, just do what you're good at. Like, we'll play offense. You guys play defense. We don't need to worry about any stuff in between, and we'll call it good from there. And I mean, I'm glad that you said that our sticks looked a little bit looser after Hogue scored that first one, because I actually don't remember feeling like we won the game until there was 57 seconds left and I started pushing at Chase Fraser, just because like the whole crowd was singing Country Roads, and I was like looking around, and it was like, I think it was like 13-4, and that was at the first moment. Like, I think Dane kind of looked over and like started smiling, and then the tension dropped, and then we all like started, that's when we started like pushing each other and hooting and hollering on the bench and everything. And that's when it was like
13 seconds and we are the champions come on there.
Yeah.
And
It was
one of the loudest horns in the league is in your arena.
Yeah.
And when it went off at the end of the game, I barely heard it because the crowd noise was so loud. Like I said, we couldn't hear ourselves in this whole second half, but it was so loud. Like the floors were rumbling up in the booth and the ceiling. Like that.
Oh, I promise you, I didn't hear it. I couldn't hear anything. I was like, oh my God, that was like the best moment of my life. Like, without a doubt. The parade was close. The parade was awesome, but that was, that was so cool. Just like, and I mean, only being a guy who's like on the team for like, my second year. I've been pretty lucky. I mean, 2 NLL finals in 2 years, going, 1 for 1 there. But, I was just so happy for the guys too. Cause like I'm around like, Josh, Dane, Kluge, Fraze, Mickey like every day, right? And like even Bucky, like Bucky'd been playing for a while now, and I was so happy for like just like even all the guys just on the team, right? Because like
Right.
they're the ones who instilled that into us younger guys. Like I was, don't get me wrong, I'm very lucky to be a part of it, and like I obviously feel like I had a helping hand, and I'm super proud of it. But I was so happy for those guys. Like it was just like you could see the weight lifted off those guys' shoulders. Like the guys who had been on the team who'd been to it like 3 or 4 times and been shut out and left empty handed. Like
Mhm.
you could just see how happy some guys were. And I remember joking to Bucky after the game. I was like, "It's an easy league, man. Like it's not hard." You know what I mean? And he was like, "Yeah," he was like, "That is not what you're gonna think." And I was just like, "Yeah, this is insane." Like, yeah. So yeah, it was nuts. And you know what? Thankfully, a lot of guys are coming back, and we got a same style
We
looking
lost
team.
2 guys. That's it.
Yeah.
2 guys.
Yeah,
That
OC, and then they traded Kazi too. So yeah, it happens. Well,
Yeah.
those
That's
things.
amazing that everybody signed, sealed, delivered. Because even Fraze, he signed this week.
Yeah.
So Nanacoke signed this week also. It's done. Like you guys are basically coming back with the same team,
Yeah.
primed and ready to defend. Now I want to talk a bit about Banditland. Now I've been going there since the '90s, and actually I got a picture for you from yesterday. I was at the premiere in Canada here for the rules of lacrosse and the men who break them, and the gentleman in the middle, that's Seymour Knox the fourth. He was one of the founders of the Bandits,
Wow.
and he was also part of the founding of the Sabres. His
Well,
family was the Knox family owned all
I
that.
should know this, but the plaza is named after him, is it not?
Yeah, yeah. Well, after his dad, I believe. But
Yeah. Okay.
yeah. The entire Buffalo everything there until of course Pagula picked it all up from them.
No way. That's incredible.
Yeah, so we had a long chat yesterday. Actually, I told him you were on the show today, so he's probably watching because he went and followed everything. So
Oh, that's awesome. I love it. That's fantastic.
yeah, and he
I
comes
should
to games
apologize
now
for
again,
thinking that
too.
was his name.
Yeah, well, he comes to games too, so he's part of that Banditland now craziness.
That's amazing.
That's so crazy about it. But yeah, talk about that. And when you first got in there and first saw that Banditland was as crazy as you heard.
I mean, like growing up more West Coast, obviously I didn't really like hear a lot about it. I wasn't able to go to a bunch of like NLL games. Like if I wanted to go to an NLL game when I was younger, it was the Washington stealth. It wasn't just as easy as going over to Vancouver and catching a game. You had to go over to Vancouver, drive over the border, sometimes take a longer boat, drive to Washington or Everett where they were, and get a hotel, try to get tickets, do the whole thing. And it was a bit of a mission. So I only went to I think I went to 2 of those games when I was younger. And Washington, I mean, like for what I thought, they probably had a pretty good crowd. So I wasn't really like aware of Banditland. And then when I was in college, I started watching a lot more NLL, like when it was on like Bleacher Report and like all the boys would want to watch it. Like you fire it up on like a Saturday or something like that. And like when I was getting into college and like even in high school, like I didn't know anything about who was good in the NLL. I didn't look it up. I knew I wanted to play NLL, but for whatever reason wasn't like an enormous fan. Like I think I knew about the Georgia Swarm because Jesse King's younger brother is my best friend. And I was like, let's look up what Jesse's doing. Right. So then I think it kind of went from there. I wanted to watch Jesse play because I've always liked watching Jesse play. 5 years older than us, so I got to watch him play. And big lefty. I always tried to kind of model my game after a lot of the stuff he did. So I liked watching Jesse, and then I think it kind of just went into that, and then you start watching more games, and you're like, oh, I have fan base. It's like when I'm just judgmental watching in freshman year in college or whatever. I'm like, oh, they don't really have any people, and then. Yeah, you flip it over to the Bandits game. You're like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
You're like, this is insane. So that was kind of like when I knew they had that following, and I was never able to catch a game. Like I never went to a Bandits game or really heard that much about it before I got drafted. And then like all the boys here were just telling me, they're like, this place is insane. My second night I was ever in Buffalo, Josh, Dane, Kluch, and I think Mickey, they took me to a Sabres game, and it was probably like a preseason game. Like it was probably around now, 3 years ago, honestly, like kind of like maybe like October 22nd ish. And yeah, so I think they took me to this the Sabres game, and it was okay. There was probably like 5,000-6,000 people there, maybe. And then they started telling me, they're like, you should see this place for our games. And I was like, oh, it gets better. And they're like, yeah, I know, like probably like double the amount of people. Everything's black and orange. We all get our goal songs. They were like, everybody barks at Dane. I was like, what? Like, they're like, yeah, they're like, everyone, yeah, they're like, everybody barks at him. And I was like, that's not true. Like, I was like, okay. I was like, now I'm getting screwed with. And I was like, all right, well, that's interesting. And then I started kind of looking into it, and like they got like the Great Dane Gang and everything, and I'm like, what is going on? Like, I was like, this is amazing. You know what I mean? Like that I've been lucky enough to get picked up here and get to play here. And then we did like a training camp. We had an open practice, and then like Swenny went over to him and gave him like the Great Dane thing, and then everybody in the crowd started barking, and he just like looked over at me and started smiling, and I was like, hey, wasn't a joke. Like, I was like, all right, got it. Like, but yeah, like it's so amazing. Like, like we just get to play in front of this many people, and our fans are so passionate, and like, Bills fans, and like even just like Buffalo sports fans in general are just so passionate. And like, it just makes me love this city even more. Like I love playing where I play. I absolutely love it. Like Saturday nights or home game nights or anything is like what I look forward to the most. And then I don't even mind going to like Albany or Rochester or Toronto because they make it feel like a home game. Like we got like half of the side of the arena like completely booked out in orange, and people travel with us. Like like we go play in San Diego, and you walk out of the hotel, and in the lobby there's Bandits fans like cheering you on, like getting onto the bus, and I'm like, we're in San Diego right now, like, and like these people are here to just watch us play. Like, I was like, yeah, you get a trip to San Diego out of it, but I was like, that is nuts. Like, and I've just never seen something like that or been around it. And everyone who's ever played here like can tell you like so much about it. Like JT obviously reinforces it. Like he's like, never ever take this for granted, because like this doesn't happen other places. And like, yeah, like you go play an away game or whatever, and I won't name any places, but like you go play somewhere and you're like, this isn't that awesome. Like, you can hear a pin drop. Like,
This
and
isn't Bandit Land by any stretch.
right, exactly. So like we are completely spoiled that people want to come watch us play and support us in the way that they do. And I love.
You're lucky too, because you got Swenny. You brought up his name, and he's probably got the greatest in-game show. Not even just announcing, his great in-game show in the league.
Yeah,
everybody's got nicknames, everything, all kinds of things. He's got everything with the fans. He just has to count to one, and everybody continues along. All this other stuff going on. We got your nickname yet?
I don't think so. I don't know. It could be tough to be a play on words. I mean, we'll see if he comes up with something.
Me personally, with you dropping the mitts and you doing the grinding stuff, Iron seems to be a good one. Iron Brad McCulley.
Yeah, that could be okay. That'd be kind of funny. That'd be kind of interesting. That would crack my dad up. He was an Iron Sheik fan, so.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's immediately what I thought of. Is you're gonna tally it into that just because my dad. But I don't know, man. We'll see. Swenny's the best. He's also a lights out golfer, and nobody can beat him in this Bandits golf tournament. But yeah, I mean, like, as far as that, I mean, like, he's a beauty. Like, he gets everyone going like that. I mean, he's got quite the audience to work with. I'll give him that for sure. But like, he makes it so fun. Like, I remember like the first like that open practice where everybody started barking at Dane. Swenny was like doing the in-game announcing thing that he does for like our open practice. So we're doing like 4-on-4s against each other or something like that. And like Swenny's got the whole place going, and I was like, this is amazing. Like, like this is awesome. And like you got Swenny, and yeah, he's just such a good guy too. He's one of those guys always smiling whenever you see him around the rink. You always get a good high five. And his son Brett is awesome too. Brett's always with him, and Brett's one of our biggest supporters as well. And he's a beauty. You always get a big hug from Brett, and then a fist bump from Swenny, and two of the nicest guys on the planet. And yeah, I love it. He makes our place just as special as everyone else does. But
he's been there since the beginning too, right? He's been there since the beginning, because you've watched the retro tapes I've given you. And he's
Oh,
the
yeah.
one doing all the in-game stuff back then too. So he's the
Yeah,
one to
it's-
be the generational gap to bring it all
Sometimes
together.
I'm like hearing stuff. Yeah, you hear like the Johnny Who when I'm watching those, and I'm like, this is nuts. Like I was like, this has been going on forever. And I don't know when they started the individual goal songs, but I saw Scott put out a tweet that the band had started that. I don't know what year that would have started in, honestly, but yeah, I mean, like the
Well, your
whole
goal
place,
song's
like
pretty
it's
cool
just
too. So yeah.
yeah, it's so fun. I mean, like it's interesting just to kind of. It's fun to go to like a Sabres game before you pick yours too, because they all have it.
Mhm.
And then you kind of get a vibe for what it sounds like from the stands, and that's I think the best way you can go about picking yours. So that's at least how I did. Like you get in there and you're like, well, that would sound pretty good, but it's actually stressful having to pick one of those because you're like, if I pick
You
a
don't want the
terrible
wrong one.
song, yeah, you're like if I pick a terrible song and people hate it, it's going to be
I
a
think if
tough
you
one.
pick anything with energy, well, they'll love it. But you got a
Yeah.
great one too. So hopefully, I hear it a lot this year.
Yeah, I'm planning on making that happen.
Cool. Let's talk a few things about the league now. A few things have changed. We don't have divisions anymore. Positive or negative?
I never experienced anything different, but I'll say positive because I think it's, I mean, I always kind of liked it when I don't know, when there was a time when there was like 9 teams, maybe 10 teams, I don't know, and everybody just got to do a home and away with each other one time. I think that's awesome. You know what
Right.
I mean? Like as far as kind of playing and like, I know it's not even remotely comparable, but like, like junior A or whatever, like playing each 7 teams 3 times and just whatever it rotates how many times you get it at home and have to play them away. But I think it's awesome. I think, like it's not like an enormously large league. There's not a huge reason why everybody shouldn't at least see each other one time. Like, like
I'm
it
starting to
shouldn't
feel though that the
necessarily.
old West teams may have a bit more advantage because you guys are used to driving to each other's games. Buffalo can drive
Yeah.
to Rochester. Buffalo can drive to Albany. Buffalo can drive to Toronto.
Yeah.
Now, Buffalo's flying to Vancouver, is flying to Saskatchewan, flying over to Colorado. You're going to be catching up on some of those air miles.
Oh, big time. Yeah, I've gotten good at sleeping on planes now. So, but yeah, for sure. And that's the thing. I mean, the travel can be kind of whatever you think. Like obviously the West guys, like all my buddies in BC, I only have a few friends who live in Market. A lot of the guys, they have a job and they fly in and out. So, the travel is almost like, yeah, it's an advantage for us for sure because we don't have to do that much of it. Like there's a lot of even Ontario guys who, you're getting flown in every weekend.
Right.
Like, if we have a home game, I just drive my 9 minutes to the KeyBank Center and then I drive back. I'm not in a hotel. I'm in my own bed. I'm at my own place. I know what I'm doing. I can make my own food. It's not like I got to go find a restaurant. I'm sure everyone's got it dialed in by now. Yeah, like like there's obviously restaurants you can hit. There's different things. Like it's always been a traveling league, but yeah, I mean flying out to like a Vegas or a Vancouver or something like that for a week or for a weekend. I'm sorry. Like even when I do it just for a day, just to go home, like I get there and I'm like, oh, like it kind of just takes the life out of you. So there'll be different ways we can get around it. Like you got to sleep on the plane, and even sometimes when you get there, it's like it's not like go right to the room and nap or whatever. It's like kind of get out and do something, maybe even a walk around, grab dinner, and then kind of try and just climatize yourself as best you can. That's at least how I've found it to be kind of easier. Like I think when we went to San Diego this year, and that was like my first like far kind of west trip. Like we did Colorado when I was a rookie, but we did San Diego this year, and like, oh my God, the plane ride there, I felt like I was on the plane for like 9.5 hours. But like when we got there, it's like you just walk around, grab lunch, just kind of do what you got to do, and then it's okay. I mean, like the time change and everything's a bit weird, but it's gonna be the same for them. They got to fly out to us and
Yep.
eat the 3 hours or whatever it's gonna be, and do the same thing, stay in a hotel. So it's just about who handles it better, who's okay with it, right? Like,
Sure.
there's a lot of things you can do, I think, to get around it, but kind of back to, I think I went on a ramble there, but I think kind of back onto it. I think it's important that everybody gets to play each other because, like, obviously it worked out these 2 years that we'd seen the team we played in the finals once in the regular season, but that could have completely not been the case, right? Like it could have been like a San Diego last year and we go in and we hadn't, or sorry, San Diego the first year, or like something like that. And, we have no idea. We haven't played you. We've just have all your tape and everything. So I think it's important everybody plays each other. I think that's how you really determine, a first and a second and so long down the list. I think, you got to mash it all together and see what happens.
All right, let's throw it over to these guys. Shawn, you have any questions for Brett?
Yeah, I guess you mentioned that 2 years ago when you guys lost the championship. Can you maybe talk about a little bit of how you guys used that as a motivating factor coming in the next year? Kind of that was a crappy feeling. We don't want to feel that again.
Yeah, I think that's exactly it, right? Like it's motivation on its own. It doesn't really need to be used a whole bunch. Like, the first email before training camp, JT sent us an email and it just had a picture of Colorado celebrating in our building. And he was like, use this. And it was like, done. Like, like it's just not something you want to look at. And it was a feeling that, like I won't forget. I mean, it obviously just like drives you. I think there's certain losses that you can get over and kind of just get around it. But like, even now that I've won one, like, and we won last year, like that first one still pisses me off. Like, that's like kind of like how much it is. And I think if you asked anybody, they'd say the same. Like, it's not like satisfying. It is gratifying kind of to win one, then, and especially like, yeah, do it against the same team. That was a strange thing that happened. But, like obviously that first one, like, cause it's the same thing. Like you have a good season. We had a good playoffs. We had a good team. You know what I mean? And then just laid an egg. And it's not like there's nothing that'll ever change that. It'll just, piss you off when you think about it. So that was one of those things where like, especially with the guys kind of prior, like guys who are on the team, kind of like I mentioned before, like we had some guys on that team who are getting fairly familiar with that feeling and quite sick of it. So I think, like that was one of those ones where we knew our team was getting to the point for sure where, we were going to be, kind of there and we needed to find a way to pull it off. And that was like, our practices were hard. Our film sessions were long. Like it is what it is. Like we just put in the work and nobody complained. It was just, you just knew that you just had to find any way to be better than last year. And that was like pretty easy to use it by thinking about what had happened, at least for me the year prior and for the other guys, a couple of years prior.
Right. Mike, you got any questions?
Well,
Can't hear you, Mike.
You hear me now?
Yes, I can.
There we go. Obviously, the team goal is to defend the title, but your own personal game, what are you looking to most improve on this year?
I don't know. Honestly, I mean, I wasn't mad with the way I played. I mean, last year I think I made, the steps and kind of leaps and bounds of what I wanted to make from year one to year two. For sure, this year I think, yeah, I'd like to, get in there and contribute more. I'd love to score more goals. I'd love to have more assists and maybe have the ball a bit more, obviously, without kind of taking it away from, what works, obviously. But, I'd love to score more goals. I'm an offensive player. I love scoring goals. I like making Bandit Land go nuts. And I like, I like helping out my team. So I think, I think I went on some droughts last year where, I didn't score. And thankfully, I think there's some games we won. There might have been some ones we lost where maybe I missed some chances or was hesitant or anything like that. But, I'd love to just keep improving year by year. And I'm not going to stop doing anything that I did last year. I'm still going to do all that because that's my game. But, I'd like to bring a different element to it. I'd like to, maybe get like some things I used to do back, outside shooting, different stuff. Just get the confidence to kind of bring that back and be a more dynamic player, kind of bringing it back. I just want to keep improving. I want to be better every year and I want to keep getting better. And, my coaches give me nothing but room to do that. It's not like I have a set thing like, hey, you're only setting picks, it's not anything anybody's ever told me, like if I did what I did and then could get 3 or 4 goals a night too, that would be lovely. And that'd be the end goal. So I want to contribute more. I want to help. And I just want to do whatever we can do to win. And obviously, you got to score more goals than the other team. So, as open as I'd like to get guys, I'd just like to be a bit more dynamic and, kind of a bit more of a threat with the ball. That'd be ideal for me.
All right, just before we wrap up, I want to bring up one other thing is the Olympics. Just last week, we found out that lacrosse is coming back into the 2028 Olympics and sixes. What's your opinion of sixes?
Funny, I was actually coaching sixes all day today. And yeah, it was a big event in Buffalo, and I was helping out, and it was this big tournament. And I think it's sweet. I think it looks like so much fun, and I'm upset because it kind of came in after my field lacrosse days of kind of, I don't want to say they're done, but they might have ended, but we'll see kind of thing of how that goes. So, but it looks like fun, man, and it looks awesome. And I think you watched, like obviously the sixes with like, like Josh and Jeff Teed and Dane and that sixes team, and kind of got to see it, and like that was just the test run of it, right? Like even like I remember watching the tryouts and everything, and I was like, it's cool looking, but who knows? And then it really caught my interest in that World Games there, and I was like, this is nuts. I think obviously you'd like to see it maybe be the main product in the Olympics, like not having to go to the kind of I don't really know how to word it, but like have it be the main thing, right? Yeah. But I think almost the PLL field lacrosse style would be the way to go, because I'll just be blatantly honest, that last World Games with no shot clock was painful. I think the shot clock has like changed the game completely. And I played my first year of college without a shot clock, and then the next 3 with a shot clock, and like we used to play teams that would just pass it around for 4.5 minutes, and being a Canadian, I was like, this is awful. Like, I was like, this is like, like this is painful to watch.
And I'm with you on that one, because I kept looking around. It's like you didn't realize how much acclimated you came to PLL until you watch this. And it's like,
right.
Wow.
Right. Like a 6-5 field lacrosse game, and you see guys who are usually playmakers, right? Like risk takers, and that exciting style. It's fast. It's dodge and maybe make a mistake or do something crazy. You saw guys kind of holster it a bit because possession mattered. Like especially like Canada against the US, possession mattered, and you had to be careful with it. So I think you miss out on a lot of the athleticism and speed and everything that is good about sixes. I think you miss out on a lot of that playmaking and that stuff about lacrosse that makes you go, oh my God, I can't believe that he just did that, or he was able to do that. Like,
sure.
Like Josh, maybe flying through the air. Like some of the stuff that man did in sixes was just insane. Like some of the highlights of it. So obviously we're bringing an exciting style to the Olympics, which is amazing. And I'm pumped that it went there. Cause like every other kid ever, I was throwing around in my backyard younger, thinking it's the winning goal for Team Canada, right? Like something like that, especially watching like the 2010 Olympics and stuff like that. And, the Crosby golden goal, all that. I know it's hockey, but same kind of thing.
Same idea.
And right. And that's it. So I'm pumped it's in the Olympics. I think it should be. It's growing rapidly. I mean, honestly, who do you ever talk to these days who saw lacrosse a month ago and went, I don't know. Right? Like everybody's like, that is insane. Yeah. And especially even now, like, you show some Americans even like box lacrosse, and they're like, what have we been missing out on this whole time? So it's cool that it does have all these, like, our sport is amazing because it does have all these different versions, and you can kind of break it down and throw it in wherever you want to. Same thing as like even in a practice, right? Like think how many like just like shortened field drills you can do just because it's exciting with less guys and makes everyone better. It's interesting that they've made it into a complete sport now, but like it's one of those things that can be, it's pretty beautiful wherever you want to put it. So, but sixes in the Olympics, I think it's awesome. I think it'll be great, and lacrosse getting some recognition like that is exactly where we need to be trending. So I'm all for it.
Yeah. It's funny because you're saying you're coaching kids sixes. When I had Mark Recchio on the other show, president or CEO of USA Lacrosse, what he brought up was grassroots, that this is a great idea as opposed to regular field lacrosse where you might get that right fielder, that kid who's just not that athletic or just wants to be with his buddies, kind of hopes the ball doesn't come to him. Well, it doesn't come to that because they're all running around doing stuff, and they're learning a game without even knowing they're learning a game, just having fun running around.
Yeah.
And as a grassroots game, and they don't need a whole lot of equipment, this will work.
Yeah.
And it just will help build youth to come up to this game, for the pros eventually, right?
100%. Yeah. Watching it today, even like some of those kids, right? Like long poles, Like, now you got a shorty in your hands, and we're going to need you to blend into this fast offensive set and maybe set a pick or maybe take a shot. And, like, it's funny when kids start to realize even, too, they're like, oh, I could just pass, cut, fill, and out of nowhere I have an 8-yard step down. And you kind of see it start to click a bit. It's funny, the Hill Academy was there today, too. And they were just basically playing box lacrosse outside. And I was looking at the team that I was coaching, and I was like, we'll get you there. But this is, I was happy because I was like, I'm Canadian. It's box across outside. I was enjoying it. Like, and these kids are like, throwing it down and then slipping middle and just like throwing like far side, short side. And I'm on the bench. I'm like, that was perfect. But you can't say it. So, but yeah, no, I think it's awesome. And that's the thing. Exactly. It forces everyone to be involved, whether you like it or not. You got to play and got to enjoy it. So, and even now, like I said, like that first kind of thing, that was like the test run. Like, think about what it's going to look like in 2-3 years when people start like figuring it out. Like, I think John Grant Jr. was the Canada offensive coordinator, and that was his first go around. Like, I'm sure he's got something up his sleeve that's just insane that nobody else is thinking about. So like, you'll see some nuts set plays or whatever's going to happen. I don't know. The possibilities could be endless of it.
Absolutely. Listen, I've kept you long enough on a Sunday night. I really want to thank you for joining us. We wish you all the best. I'm hoping that you'll come back midway through the year and give us kind of like the update on how the Bandits are feeling towards covering and doing it. I know I'll see you at the games because I should be there for the banner raising if all things work.
Perfect. Yeah. No, well, thank you very much for having me on. I'll come on whenever you guys want me to. I love coming on and cutting it up with you guys. So whenever you guys want a Bandits update, I'll always be here.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot, Brad. Best of luck, and we will see you in a couple of weeks.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you guys having me on.
All right.
Awesome.
That was Brad McCulley of the Buffalo Bandits. And as you can see, they're pumped. They're ready. That's awesome. Again, we're talking about character, right? And, this guy personifies what that character is all about. This is someone who worked for everything and will do anything. Him, Ian McKay, these are the guys that you want on your team, because I'm pretty sure if you gave Ian McKay goaltending equipment, he'll go in goal. I'm pretty sure about that. Let alone whether you're going to play 200 feet or you're going to play defense, transition, offense. Doesn't make a difference.
Those blue-collar guys that bring their lunch buckets to the...
Basically, yeah. And the Bandits are all that. Everybody will do anything for anybody. And they proved it last year. And nothing was an easy go-around. They earned every victory along the way. And along the way, character developed more and more and more. And, I see great things again for this team this year. I pick them very high in this league. So just before we move on, I want to just remind everybody that this part of our show is brought to you by Sherry's Ticket Town.
All right, guys, it's time to talk about Sherry's Tickets. Sherry'sTickets.com is easy to use and has no hidden fees. The price you see is the price you pay. Pay less and play more with Sherry'sTickets.com. Save even more by using the exclusive promo code EOP10. That's EOP10. Do not pay hidden fees and save 10%. Why use any other ticket reseller and get those hard-to-come-by tickets to the big game? If you need a more personal touch, give them a call at 610-494-5050. That's 610-494-5050. Sherry'sTickets.com also has great theater and concert tickets that are hard to get your hands on. Remember, do not overpay and save with the best at Sherry'sTickets.com. Save 10% using the promo code EOP10. That's EOP10. You'll thank us later. Sherry'sTickets.com.
Now, guys, I mentioned when I was with Brad, of course, when we were talking with Brad about the rules of lacrosse, the premiere yesterday. And there's Joanne Storkin, who produced it, directed it, put it all together, was the brains behind everything. She is fantastic. She's just such a great person. And what a great movie. If you have a chance to see it, go see it. Absolutely was phenomenal. It's such a nice flow to it. It doesn't matter what form of lacrosse and where you are in the lacrosse world. It has information. It has show. It has all kinds of things to it. My favorite part of it actually was they had Gaylord Palace interview, and in his own words talking about all the trials that he had along the way, as well as some of the fun stuff. But it was just so great, and to watch Alfie Jacks put together sticks, and training somebody how to do it. Yeah, there's so much in there. It was such a great time. I highly recommend it. We're trying to figure out ways that we can get this out to the public. I know that Joanne's got a couple of things on the go out in Brantford, Wayne Gretzky's place, because he's in the movie as well. And hopefully for December 1st for Gaylord Powell's birthday as well. So that's going to be really, really great stuff. Stay tuned. As we know stuff, we will let you know stuff. And it's going to be fantastic. All right, let's go on to we had Canadian College playoffs starting to happen. Just a second. Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. We'll go with we had our premier preliminary playoffs, and Brock beat Laurier, Western beat Nipissing, Guelph beat McMaster, McGill beat Queens, and Carleton beat Bishops. Now next weekend is the big weekend, and you can catch all the games live on Lacrosse TV. Here is our schedule. Times are still to be announced. On Friday for the Back-of-the-Way Cup is McGill versus Guelph, Brock versus Trent. And on Saturday, one of those winners is going against Carleton. The other one's going against Western. And on Sunday will be the championship game at Trent in Peterborough. So if you're anywhere near there, you're going to want to catch it. It's going to be fantastic. Some great Canadian field. Now, Shawn, this mascot thing is it's giving me a headache.
Yeah.
I get this thing here.
Yeah.
But November the 18th at the in person at the Fez, they're going to vote for this thing. But I think that Bulldog finally said enough's enough.
Yeah.
Bulldog's he's had it.
Yeah, you listen to Bruiser. Bruiser.
Yeah, if you're gonna get Bruiser's gonna find his own replacement.
Yeah.
And here it is. And there it is. You have Rowdy as your new mascot over in Saskatoon.
Yep. It'll be nice if, Horny could have thrown a few chairs on his way out or
there is
something,
right out of Saskatoon Center. I wouldn't be parking there anytime soon until we can get the cleanup crews. We may have to pull some of the tractors out of Shawn's back there for Mike's parade, and we're going to have to redo some of the ground, and we'll get it all together yet. Don't worry, folks. Now, keeping in this little mood of lightness, the Kelsey brothers of football fame, NFL fame, they decided they were going to get a bit of this conversation about Olympic lacrosse.
Lacrosse. I thought it was already in. Lacrosse isn't an Olympic sport?
I don't believe so. Not a Summer Olympic sport. I don't believe so. I'm pretty sure it's going to be 2028. It's going to be the first year.
That's cool.
Dude.
I might be able to do that.
That's what I'm saying. I can play center midi. Center D, I mean. I can play center D at 40. Are you kidding me?
There's no chance.
What? You don't think I can play center D right now?
I think we should go play lacrosse with some legit lacrosse players and see how bad we are at this point in our lives.
First of all, I hear you. But legit, that's American. That's American lacrosse players. going against, whoever else is out here playing lacrosse.
I know it's a Native American sport.
Yeah. I was going to say, those of you that didn't know, Jason played lacrosse from 7th grade all the way through high school, and I played 7th, 8th grade years. And just in the backyard with Jason, all the way leading up to when I started playing. One of the funnest sports I have ever played in my life. For those of you that have a lacrosse team or are thinking about playing lacrosse,
One of the funnest. I love that.
Yeah.
Now, Mike came up with a real great name there, man. Rowdy Piper.
Piper. There we go. Yeah, I like that.
Oh, I like that. We can put some
Excellent.
bags in there. You know,
Roddy
Mike,
Piper's from
Mike-
Saskatoon
oh, yeah,
too. So
Saskatoon, right?
yeah.
Yeah, and it will start competing with Banditland if their bagpiper, and we'll see. We'll
Oh,
see.
there you
I
go.
like it.
Yeah.
I like it. There's hope on that one. Well
Yeah.
done. Well done. Just catching up on a few of the comments along the way. Eduardo is with us. Eduardo, glad to have you with us. We hope you're feeling up to par. Matt Martin is with us, and Matt also had a nickname for Brad, and that was Big Chief. Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Excellent.
And of course, Joanne Storkin was with us, and it was fantastic. It was great to see her yesterday, and I can't wait to see her in the new year again when I head out to San Diego, which is going to be a lot of fun. A few things around the league. We had a couple of signings, and we brought it up a little bit with Brad. One, of course, is Chase Fraser. He's got on a 1-year deal. The other is Tohogananakok on a 2-year deal. And a big one in Halifax. Johnny Pearson on a 1-year. And, of course, in his words, I'm really excited to get around. On Andrew Suter's words, I'm really excited to get around Johnny. I think he can take some big steps this year and be an impactful part of our defense. Johnny already plays a lot like Andrew did. And with Andrew's guidance, we're going to have another Andrew Suter on our hands. Sorry to hear that, Eduardo. I hope our thoughts and prayers are hoping our best for recovery.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Moving back, just before we go into this next little lightning round of fun, I just want to remind people that this part of our program is brought to you by Philly Sports Trips.
All right, guys, if you're a Philly sports fan and you want to travel with your favorite team, then travel with the best. Go to phillysportstrips.com. They have self-travel packages and full travel packages available with round-trip flights from the Philadelphia airport. Packages include direct flights, 4-night stays, all-inclusive tailgate parties, lower-level group tickets. Whatever you want, you got it with phillysportstrips.com. If you want to travel to an upcoming Phillies game, make sure you check out Philly Sports Trips. And do not forget, Philly Sports Trips has all the away trips for the Eagles' upcoming 2023 season. Jump on it now, because you do not want to lose out on all these great opportunities. Go to phillysportstrips.com.
Absolutely. And there's a lot of
That
things
bus
going on.
ripping a donut cracks me up every time.
Gotta love it, eh? There was one other thing. I just want to see if I could find it here. But no, I can't. There was, I'm wearing a Netherlands shirt, but there's an open practice. If you happen to be in the Netherlands, and since we are worldwide, we may have some people that are watching in Utrecht or in and around there, Amsterdam, that November the 18th is an open practice to try and get on their world team. It is, I believe, 10 euros, and that will include lunch. It's a 4-hour practice. So have a look and get in touch with Netherlands Lacrosse, and you too can wear one of these. Anyways, I want to do a little bit of that, where they were and where they are. And we're going to start out with an easy one. And we got Mike.
We know who that is. Suits.
Yes, it's a young Suits. And of course, there he is now. They get a little more difficult as we go along here, guys. We had a couple of them here. The next one. The Rock jersey might give it away a little bit. Shawn?
That's Benny.
That's it. Ryan
Yeah.
Benesh, baby. The last one was a little bit more difficult for anybody because, man, it looked like we just took him out of grade school. Anybody? Maybe I give you this picture instead. That's right. It is Jake Withers, y'all. The maturing. That would be the fireman, Jake Withers. So, again, we were talking about Halifax and how they have a great old team. But remember, Withers is now in the same fire hall as Austin Shanks. Now, Shanksy doesn't have to worry about being the rookie thing and have to make everything whatever. He can get time to make games. But Withers now is going to be in that same predicament that Shanksy was in last year. So there might be games that he can't make because of commitments to, obviously, to Toronto Fire. And, well, it is what it is, man. You got to have your life career. But Halifax will feel that, especially as good as a face-off man as Withers is, let alone how good of a player he is. I think that gets overlooked also because watching him in Peterborough in the summertime was really, really great. And, nobody was taking liberties, man, because he is one tough son of a gun. And it's not just his face-off prowess. It's not just scoring off a face-off. It's all the other little things he does off ball. And I think that's part of the magic that will be in Halifax when he is playing that they won't have when he isn't playing. Thoughts, guys?
Yeah, I'm just trying to think off the top of my head who's going to take his place in games he's not playing. I think Ryan Terafenko can take faceoffs, and he's on, I think, their faceoff unit, but that's going to be a big blow, I'm sure Halifax would much rather have Terafenko coming off the back line, picking up a ball, loose ball, and streaking toward the goal.
I agree.
His caliber, rather than having him at the dot where he's going to get tied up. So that's I'm just trying to think of who else on that roster. They might have take faceoffs. Max Wilson, Jeremy Winston if he makes the squad. Any offensive players. I doubt they want anyone like Magnan taking faceoffs either because they want to be able to utilize his size. On the floor to start a play.
Right. Sorry, guys, just to get off topic for 1 second, Shawn. Joanne was talking to Artis Hessler, who is part of the Dutch team in their box squad. I did find the thing for the open practice. I don't know, Joanne, if you'd like to screenshot it, that you have it so you can send it to him. But just go to Netherlands Lacrosse in the Instagram and go to their bio. And you can sign up for it there. But it's at Sport Park Zulen in Utrecht. Sorry, Shawn, you were going to be saying.
That's all right. I was just going to say, with all due respect to everyone that Mike just named, they'll have big shoes to fill with losing Jake Withers, and just missing those extra possessions could be the difference between in the W column or the L column.
Right. And they've already, Shanksy said it on the other show, this is the year where they're all in. I have a Kersey coming up in 2 weeks on the other show. I'll be curious to hear what Mike has to say, and it should be interesting. It should be very, very interesting on what we're going to be doing. Actually, I believe he's on this week. Come to think of it, November 2nd. So, it's going to be an interesting way because they're all in too, and there's a number of teams. Toronto's all in. They're all in every year, but they're all in. So It's only one championship, guys. And we're only talking about the East so far. Halifax, Buffalo, Toronto, all in.
Oh, there's no East anymore.
Oh, sorry. Eastern part of the world. Go to the western part of the world where Shawn's at.
Where I'm at.
And over to the other side of it.
Yeah, you got the Colorados and the San Diegos of the world who they're all in too, right?
They kind of want to win too, don't they?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Colorado took that big blow with Ryan Lee, though, right?
Yeah, but they've also shown in the past that they can play. They have depth.
Well, they won without him, right?
Yeah,
yep, that's right. Him and McLaughlin. So,
and
I'm not worried about their left side. I mean, we've seen 2 straight years now. They've nearly had a trio of 40 goal scorers.
Yep.
On that offense.
Yeah.
So and when it comes to lefty snipers, I think anyone who doesn't have Connor Robinson in their top 5 is they need to get their head examined.
Yeah,
I agree. And anytime you have Zed Williams anywhere near your lineup at all, That's
Yeah, I was going to say that right side, Zed Williams is going to carry
Yeah,
a
he's
lot of that load.
Yeah.
that howitzer is just that, man, and he can pick a corner as sweet as Jeff T can pick a corner. So
Yeah, and don't forget they have Connor Kelly now, so
Yeah.
that's not a bad replacement for Ryan Lee.
right,
You know,
and as you brought up a couple of
he
weeks
did
ago,
lead Albany in scoring last year.
Mhm.
So
as you brought up before, they obviously knew what was going on when they picked him up because it
They
fits
made that
perfectly,
trade.
doesn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, we also have other things going. Georgia had that 0-7 start. Without that 0-7 start, they were the hottest team in the league for most of the year, and most of them are coming back with a few additions too. And you have Dobson with his second year in the league with a full season in net. So look out, fresh off an Archer's victory, where he had the game-winning save with 0.2 seconds left.
Yeah.
Of all things, under pressure, I don't think that bothers him any.
Yeah.
He also had Team Canada in the Worlds in San Diego, so this guy's his stock is right up there.
yeah, and who's to say? We've talked about how Ryan Lanchbury struggled coming out of the gate. Who's to say? I mean, we just had Brad McCulley on who admitted to us, hey, he had a rough first year.
Yep.
Yeah, he had trouble adjusting to the speed of the game, adjusting to his role. Who's to say that Lanchbury doesn't have the same level of improvement that McCulley had this year from last year?
Exactly.
Yeah,
So-
exactly. Yep.
Exactly.
I was just going to say, sorry, Mike. I was just going to say, looking at West too, you mentioned Georgia. I'm also looking at teams. Calgary's Calgary. They're going to be a contender. Saskatchewan's got a whole lot better. Vancouver's got a whole lot better. It's going to be a dog's breakfast.
Absolutely. Saskatchewan, for all the things that people say, I think I know most of the players there because they all came from Toronto, and you've got some fantastic young, quick players.
Yep.
And they've gotten bigger over the summer. So, they're strong to go with it. So I don't see why Saskatchewan can't be one of the people in our conversation this year.
Yeah, and let's not forget that Panther City didn't have a whole lot of turnover either. I don't think.
No,
No, they really
there
didn't.
wasn't. For all the movement there was, most of these teams kept their bases together. There were some, of course, big signings, but they were replaced with younger players. I give you Saskatchewan, right, with Mark Matthews.
I was going to say the Saskatchewan's maybe the one exception to the rule. They kind of blew it up, but they really kind of had to blow it up.
Sure, and they got rid of the older guys.
Yeah.
They went with more of a youth movement to keep it together for a number of years, where even if you don't win this year, this nucleus is going to be together for the next 4 or 5 years.
Yep.
And with Keenan with 4 or 5 years worth of draft picks to bolster along and build around some of the guys who are, cream moving to the top, I think that this is going to be something to really behold. Whereas in Toronto, again, it's a whole different mindset when you have a lot of guys who live in the area. Because if Matthews is going to only get 2 years out of him and then he decides to hang him up, well, there's another guy in some place that's ready to move closer to home for his work and come in there as a star. And if there's not him, then there's another guy just over here and he's going to come over. Or this guy over here and he's ready to come in. So the free agent market is big in Toronto or Buffalo, maybe even Rochester. But, somewhere like Saskatchewan, somewhere like San Diego, somewhere like Georgia, Colorado, they need to worry about what and who they pick and do their homework on all the juniors all over the place to make sure and to keep up to date with the ALL or whatever is going to be the form of PBLA in the U.S. So we'll call it U.S. Boxlift for now and see what's coming up there to keep the sticks in their hands throughout the winter.
No, and that's a good point. It always makes that GM position in out west, especially that much more important. What kind of contacts do you have? Who do you know?
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. Now, we talked briefly, and we've had a couple of players, talk briefly about maybe an AHL kind of thing for lacrosse. And ironically, it would be ALL if we change the H. And we already have that, ALL. But to be a farm system. Now, to take it a little bit further, we started touching upon how this would happen. Now, I did a little bit of digging, a little bit of thinking, and it would be unfair to have each team have their own team that they're controlling, because some teams are Bandit Land and they have 19,000 to bring in money, and some teams are Panther City and they have 19 to bring in money. But if the main money comes from the NLL, still, follow me here, and each team is assigned a team. Now, we only have 12 right now, so with expansion, we get it to 15. That shouldn't be a problem. If each team has their own team and puts their own coach in, then they can practice their own schemes. But it's still under the umbrella and still under the tutelage of Paul St. John. It's his leagues. But the NLL is funneling money to those leagues so that they can get the best of the best for everybody. And then the teams can have their teams. So it kind of works as a mini MILL, but it's under the NLL umbrella, with an owner of that league being Paul St. John, and him taking care of where the officials are, where the arenas are, where the other things are, and all that. So everybody has a task. To me, that would work, at least in the short term, until it can be built that they have this all the way through. Because the U.S. is going to need to build this as well, right?
Correct.
Well, well, he does still own it, right? Yes, the Buckins run it, but he still is part of it. Sorry, Shawn. He doesn't like your Brampton. You're right. Next time he's heading out west, he's going to be happy to
blame Gary for that one.
To you. He'll give you a Brooklyn one. Don't worry. Obviously, Ryan wasn't watching last week when I had a Brooklyn shirt on. So, all righty. So, to me, let me see. Well, they house them is about all I know. But anyways, that's my theory on how that would work. So the other thing that comes to mind is I was talking briefly with you guys about the Rock Athletic Center. And what surprised me is it's open now 10 years. Why haven't we seen more of these things pop up? The blueprint is there. We know it works. Most of the teams go in there and will be in there for the next couple of weeks for training camps and for preseason games. There's that. The track, I believe there's Memorial in Brampton, going to have a couple of games as well. The ILA is going to have a couple of games. So they're all in the area. But the most central thing is the one in Oakville off the QEW. And that's where they're housing a lot of their day-to-day things. To have one put out west somewhere, why wouldn't they? Somewhere in Alberta would make sense to me, since you've got Calgary. Saskatchewan isn't too far. BC, Vancouver, that's not that far. Comparative. I think it would be too far if we put it in Vancouver, because that kind of alienates most of the country. But somewhere in Alberta, Calgary, Edmonton, that might work to have that kind of facility. Yeah. In the U.S., it would make a lot of sense. Like you got Joe Tsai's money, and he's got Vegas and he's got San Diego. Well, somewhere in there should be a facility like this where it is year-round. That, the Rock players can go in anytime they want, day or night, and do whatever, shoot around, gym, whatever they need. The equipment that's in the dressing room, the icers, things like that, they're there. They have a chiropractor and sports medicine clinic in there now. They have everything in there. So the best of the best. Why can't this blueprint, as well as they have a field outdoors for field lacrosse practice as well? Canadian teams have practiced there many a time. Yeah. So why not?
Can I just touch on the west part?
Sure.
You hit on it with the states. Money. Who has the money out west here to do it? You're probably going to have to go to a provincial or a federal government and ask for the money, and now we're getting into politics.
Right.
And that's, I think, the biggest red tape right now.
Right. Well, we found the one red herring to hockey teams owning the lacrosse teams, because the one that doesn't is Jamie, and he's the one who did it, right?
And I mean, you've got one with the Calgary Roughnecks with the Flames, but they're even a hard time building their own arena with the Flames, let alone thinking about a practice facility.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, and I know. So, I mean, a couple of things on that. I mean, I know San Diego has their own outdoor box, the knock-around field that they use for practices. I mean, I know that's not, all-encompassing, but I do know that there is a bit of a state-of-the-art facility, I think, in Vegas that I think the Aces of the WNBA use, and it's pretty state-of-the-art. It's brand new, so I don't know if there's any possibility that the Desert Dogs can get in on that facility.
Right.
But I think the other issue really prevailing besides money is just going to be feasibility, just with players' geographical locations. It's easy for the track to operate because of what
there
you
are
had
so many in
mentioned
the area,
before.
right?
Yeah.
Got it.
So many people in the area, you go build that facility in Albany or on Long Island or even in Vegas, but you have it, but how many players are in the area to be able to use it regularly and get the most out of it?
Well, I think that's a good point, Mike, because I think this is something that maybe needs to be looked at further down the road when we're talking about full-time players who don't have to go back to their full-time jobs after playing on the weekends.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's something to look at, but it's going to take a couple of years to build anyway, right? So it's something that needs to be
It's something
addressed
that
anyway.
eventually you need to find the balance so that you can eventually hopefully have your team like in a Panther City where all the players are in market, because I mean I think they've got
their job is
the number of
lacrosse.
guys in market for Panther City you could probably count on one hand. It's probably Caputo and Foley and Nathan Grennan and Callum Crawford's nearby at least, but I don't think
Bob Hamlin could run it because he's living in Texas now too, right? So
yeah, Donville might be the other one. So I think they only have probably like 4, 5, 6 players in market right now.
Right.
Where we just heard Brad McCulley talk about probably a third of the team, the Bandits, live in market, and the rest all live again because they're
Southern Ontario probably.
Because they're close to Toronto. So 85-90% of the Bandits, are probably within a couple hours of each other.
Right.
So,
all right. Just before we wrap up, I want to remind people that this part of our show is brought to you by David Archeri and Associates.
All right, guys, let's talk about Cherry Law Firm. If you get hurt at work in a motor vehicle accident, personal injury, or affected by criminal law, you got to call David Archeri of the Cherry Firm. Call 610-565-0300 or go to cherryinjurylaw.com. Let David Archeri fight for your rights. Again, that number is 610-565-0300. That's 610-565-0300 or go to cherryinjurylaw.com. Let David Archeri fight for your right.
All right. I want to thank, first off, Brad McCulley for coming on and just being just a great guy overall. Just talking about Bandits lacrosse and everything about getting there and championship. And, it's fantastic. And you just, like I said before, you just can't help but root for him. Like the guy is just fantastic and really looking forward to a great year from him. So a reminder to everybody that we are on Facebook. We are on Twitter. We are on Instagram. We are on Thread. We are also at All Across All the Time on YouTube. Let me tell you guys, you really want to get onto the YouTube. There's a lot of stuff going on there and more stuff coming. Should be more stuff this coming week. 2 more retro games are going to be up there. Constant stuff being put up there. So let's try and really put a concerted effort to building that YouTube page so we can use it as another tool to get more information out to all of you. We just passed 3,000 on the Facebook page. Want to thank everybody for that. Now our goal is 4,000. So let's get moving. Let's get going. Tell a friend, tell a cousin, tell a brother, tell somebody you don't know on the street. Let them know that we're here. Let them know that all their lacrosse needs will be filled at all lacrosse all the time. Shawn, anything last words to say?
Well, looking forward to training camp. And again, I know we keep bringing it up every week, November 25th, Rush Roughnecks right here in Moose Jaw, the Moose Jaw Event Center. They're talking about a sellout. So that should be awesome.
And Mike?
And Rowdy will be there, hopefully.
I'm hoping Rowdy will be there.
Awesome.
Better watch out for Horny. He might be in the parking lot.
Security's watching Horny in the parking lot.
Bring a helmet. Bring a helmet. It could get ugly. Mike, any last words?
Well, just I'm looking forward to camps myself, and I think they're all going to be ultra competitive, and I still think there's going to be a few surprises. Some guys you expected to make the teams that don't, and some you didn't that do make the team. So
yeah, to go with that theory, also movement. Guys who don't make it, who wind up somewhere else that you would never have imagined. So that could be part of it as well. Remember, lacrosse fever is in the air, guys.
Yeah,
absolutely. Me, the first game at track is November 11th, Remembrance Day. We're looking forward to that. That should be an exciting time. If I ramp the Argos Eastern Final with that, I should be able to get out just in time to scoot up the QEW over to Oakville and make it just in time for that game. Should be a fun day of sports. But just remember, follow us on Facebook more times. Come see us 3, 4, 5 times a day because the news is always changing, and we have our finger on the pulse of the situation at all times. For Shawn Slaght over in Moose Jaw and Muffler Mike over in Connecticut, I'm Gary Groob in Toronto. Again, thanking all of you for following us week in, week out, and being a part of the show week in, week out. We really appreciate all your patronage. And again, want to thank Brad McCulley of the Bandits for being on today. And we will have more guests for you. Don't you despair, all throughout the year. Until next week, when we're back at 9 p.m. next Sunday night, for All Lacrosse All the Time, keep your stick in your hands, and we'll see you then.